Alright. Chapter 7, Ghouls Just Want to Have Fun.
Whatever.
Simon Belmont snapped his whip. Crack! The end of the whip hit the ghoul right in the misty stuff. Stuff that composed its chest. The thing was hurled back a footstep, but then it righted itself, and kept on coming. Simon pulled the whip back, readying a crack again. Tim Bradley just stood in his tracks, frightened out of his mind. This wasn't any two-dimensional image programmed... two-dimensional programmed TV image dot array that could be handled with a joystick. It was a living, breathing, so rotten it smelled worse than Tim's socks monster. No, scratch that. It was a dead, living, breathing monster. The thing was about 7 feet tall.
Isn't the nature of a ghoul undead to begin with?
Yeah. But it's a dead live thing. Yeah, now remember, that is one use only. Who wrote this crap? Someone wrote this crap, whose name is FX...
Someone who does not go by a name that is recognizable.
FX9.
However, he's also written a couple of other books for other NES games. So we may have to do this again.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just taking some insulin because I'm a vampire.
Well, in that case, if we're going to take a minute, I'm going to dance on these stairs a little bit and go get me some more drinky drink.
Alright, as you pause, I will continue the chapter, if that's alright. Or would you like to take a...
Multitask.
Whoa! There goes
Drop the microphone. Do both. Play and read. Read, play.
I can't... No! Okay. Tim Bradley just stood in his tracks, frightened out of his mind. We got there already. About 7 feet tall. Its gray skin hung down in tatters, revealing bones and worms beneath. Its parting orbs looked like the eyes of a long-dead fish. But when you looked closer at the grim thing, it got worse. When you looked closer, you saw that the thing was only half solid, seemed to be composed of flesh, and a half of grey smog lit from within by an unearthly glow. Simon's whip unfurled, catching the thing again, this time squarely in its skull face. Crack! This time, the whip had an instant effect. An explosion, like an M80 going off in a garbage can, sounded out. Shivers of energy-infested ectoplasm radiated around the whip's end. The whole creature shook. Then, with a bright shimmer, it seemed to wrench away from existence as though some kind of hook had came out of nowhere and dragged it into a black hole, leaving only its outline behind. The outline turned to dazzle that glittered over Simon Belmont like fairy dust. I guess dazzle in the 1980s was a noun and not just a verb. I don't know. Anyway, it glittered over Simon Belmont like fairy dust. Simon shivered and his eyes got wide for a moment. Then he recoiled his whip around and turned his hand towards Tim. Ah, yes, energy. Already I feel charged with vigor. I am ready for another. So, ghouls, when they break up, or blow up, turn into cocaine.
If you want to get down to the ground, some ghouls.
Well, good for you, Simon.
It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Some ghouls. Okay, I'm done now.
Breaking up my accent, Ben.
Sorry.
Good for you, Simon. Me, I'm ready to go back to that safe, warm tavern. Tim wasn't serious. He knew that he had a job ahead of him and that he had promised to do. He wasn't the sort to weasel out of his commitments. But all in all, he would rather be back in this tavern, sipping hot chocolate, than fighting ghouls in the middle of a dark Castlevanian night. They finished their dinner back at the Heart and Soul, which is a pun. The innkeeper had wanted them to eat more, but Simon... Oh, by the way, there's an invisible thing. Visible square. Do you remember where that invisible square was? Because you're going to be coming back.
I don't even remember
Sorry.
how you got there in the first place.
I'm burping.
And now I'm dead.
Okay, you want to go to your left? Out, the other left?
Yeah, I'm just finding the best way to kill us.
Oh, okay. I would have gone the upper thing. So go through to the next room and then just keep going up until you can't go up anymore. Then go right.
Use this. Okay. Please continue.
Okay. The innkeeper had wanted them to eat more, but Simon had insisted that too much to eat and drink would make them tired and heavy for tonight's action. Just a little cat nap would do, he insisted, and that's just what they had too, a cat nap, right there on one of the benches of the tavern, right beside 2 tavern cats. Fortunately, Tim's allergies weren't acting up, so he actually managed to go to sleep, despite all the excitement of the day and all the excitement yet to come, and all the caffeine and all the chocolate bars he had devoured. It must have been all that warm milk he'd drunk. When he'd woken up, it was dark outside, so he figured it was time to go. However, the sun, quote, quote, was still up, even though it was low in the sky. They spent the remaining minutes warming up their muscles with exercises. Then, Simon had prepared himself by sitting very still with his legs folded under him. Tim had prepared himself by eating a bag of M&Ms. Simon's voice brought him back to the present. "There's no time for loafing in warm taverns, Timothy Bradley. Look, here come 2 more ghouls. You take one while I deal with the other." Sure enough, coming out of a narrow alley like 2 gravestones with arms, legs, and bad attitudes, shambled 2 ghouls. They hissed harshly, opening mouths filled with sharp teeth. By the way, long claws reached out to rend and tear all their victims. All in all, it was not a pleasant sight. Tim Bradley lifted the sword that Simon had given him just after they arrived at the inn. He would have preferred a gun, however Simon informed him that not only the fact there were no guns in Castlevania, even if they were imported from another dimension, they wouldn't work here because gunpowder didn't explode in Castlevania. So even if guns existed, which they don't, it wouldn't work. I don't know what gunpowder is, but you know, shit in Castlevania is magic, so fuck you all. In fact, that's what he says. "Things work on magical principles here, Timothy," Simon had explained, "and also on the moral laws of good and evil. That is why I am very good and Dracula is very bad." No, seriously.
Because gunpowder doesn't work!
That's seriously what it says. Anyway, now Tim Bradley didn't have time to worry about the niceties and ethics of moral philosophy. He had a snarling creature to deal with. The ghoul bore down on him with surprising speed for something that looked like it was going to fall apart at any moment. Tim swung the sword over his head towards the creature, but missed. The metal sword crashed down on the cobblestones noisily. "Crack!" sang the song of Simon's whip from behind him as the hero dealt with his ghoul. The ghoul's razor-sharp fingernails reached out and ripped at Tim's jacket. The whole arm was torn. "Yow!" said Tim. "My mom's gonna kill me!" The ghoul just snarled and pushed its outstretched hands towards Tim Bradley's throat. "You rat! I hope you have a mom, 'cause that's who I'm sending you back to!" With all his might, Tim lifted the sword and swung it toward the spot where Simon's whip had been so effective on the last ghoul. The thick, pitted blade sliced into the mist skin, and immediately sparks flew like a blowout in the spiral galaxy. Apparently. As he watched with astonishment, the ghoul slowly faded away. Before it was completely invisible, though, it was yanked from existence on this plane, leaving behind only its outline. This outline hovered shimmering for an instant, and then, like a tiny piece cut from a whirlwind of light, it flew up the metal of Tim's sword. Felt as though he had struck both hands in an electrical outlet. Energy buzzed through him. Coursed through him, but without a buzz, and it felt like his hair was standing on end. He also felt as though he had been jolted awake. "Goodness," he said, blinking as he turned to Simon. "That really packs a wallop!" He felt as though he had just run a mile, and died from a scorpion. Good job, Ben. Don't stop now!
Fuck your business!
He felt like he was jolted away. Goodness, that really packs a wallop. He felt as if he had just run a mile, then drunk a quart of Gatorade. Gatorade brand Gatorade. The only thing that
keeps your children powered better than Hershey's chocolate.
Yeah. If there's a lot of product placement. He felt refreshed, vital, and alert. "I feel like someone's just changed my batteries."
I feel refreshed, vital, and alert!
"Yes, you see. Now we have sufficient energy to deal with the next part of our mission." "What is that, pray tell?" he asked Timothy, fairly bouncing on the balls of his feet. "According to Linda Elmtwistle, first we must locate the rib of Dracula." "That must be his funny bone. He sure seems to have lost it." Gosh, he felt alive and buoyant. He felt like he could conquer the world and then play 2 hours of touch football in the evening. "Yes, perhaps. She said that we would receive a clue to its whereabouts from the central signpost in the middle of Castlevania." Simon's face twitched. First, though, I should seem to be hungry again. Perhaps we should go back to the Heart and Soul Tavern. There we can eat a decent meal. Eggs and flapjacks, I should think. And yes, cake with whipped cream. And apples, lots of apples. And you can eat your chocolate. Then we could wash it all down with yards of foamy and jams. Foamy ginger ale. Then we can eat sausages and jams and perhaps think about dessert. That was an entire half a page of like, you idiot kind of deal. This sounded good to Tim.
One of these is a...
Oh, that one. See where the skeleton stopped? No! That was...
No!
You didn't see it! Look! It's that one! That one right there!
We are experiencing a moment of technical difficulty.
Jump over that!
We will return in a moment.
Ben's face right now is the best thing I've ever seen. All right, I'm gonna continue with the book.
Give it a minute. Give it a second. Give me a second.
I gotta give Ben a second.
Give me a second.
Why do I see? This is the problems that I was thinking of we were gonna have when we started playing a NES game. We're not very good at video games. And welcome back.
All right.
Ben is recharged. He knows where the block is. You...
I thought that might put us back up there, but then I realized that it wasn't going to do that. Keep reading. Do we need to take another masterpiece theater?
No,
What the fuck?
Oh, I think... Did you hit down and jump?
No!
Oh. Anyway... This sounded good to Tim. He was always hungry. He could do with a couple Cadbury bars, if only to celebrate his victory. But then he caught himself up short. This was the sort of warning sign Simon had told him about. Wasn't gluttony one of the 7 deadlies? His stomach rumbled. Still, some pancakes would be awfully delicious. No, he told himself. This was why he was here, to help Simon resist temptation, not to fall to them himself. He had a responsibility to fulfill, and he meant to do just that. He kicked Simon Belmont in the butt. Not real hard, but firmly enough to wrest his attention away from treats and sweets. Ouch, said Simon. He lifted his whip up, turning a look of anger and menace towards Tim. Why do you strike me, mortal? You see, you are starting to sound like Dracula. Simon's mouth dropped open. Yes, you're right. And you kicked me upon my nether parts. And so you kicked me upon my nether parts. Simon patted Tim upon his shoulder. Excellent. Already Linda has guided me truly in selecting a fine fellow. Oh my god, he said Linda, not Linda Entwood. Anyway,
We said it a couple times, so just put Antwood on the end of it for dramatic effect.
There's only a little bit longer for this chapter. Wait, where are you going?
I'm gonna go to that platform.
Oh, I see where you are. Okay. Oh, my voice is tiring. Tim felt a stirring of feeling. He really liked this guy that he just touched in the butt. When Simon Belmont had a good thought about someone, he shared it. He was thoughtful, sincere, and honest. So what if he was a bit unhip? He had his own brand of cool. What happened? You fell through it again.
Anytime, Simon! Tim looked down.
Oh my god, Ben.
Deserted now, all wrapped in night and eerie mist.
Oh my god, Ben.
Well, we better be going to that signpost now, right? The question is which way? Right, my true friend. The way to the signpost is no problem. Follow me.
I am so
Tim,
disappointed.
Trusting Simon to show him the correct way, followed.
So Ben is a little upset right now. I find this a little bit funny.